The short answer? Nobody. And everybody? The long answer? Well, it's complicated. Before we get into the video, please like and subscribe and make sure to turn on notifications. It helps a lot with the YouTube algorithm and I would really appreciate it. So who owns Antarctica? Our story begins in January 1820 when funny mustache man and his depressed deputy first sighted this ice shelf as part of the first Russian Antarctic expedition. It's thought that a seal hunter by the name of John Davis made the first landing on Antarctica here, just 1 year after the Russians' first sighting, although this is heavily debated by historians. The first confirmed landing on Antarctica came 74 years later in 1895 when the Norwegian ship Antarctic landed here. While this was the first confirmed landing, it is fairly unlikely that it was actually the first, because while they definitely did land in 1895, there were a lot of expeditions in that 74-year period that only maybe landed. Historically, land claims have been made by big scary world powers, showing up, saying I want that, and getting rid of anyone who comes in their way. Antarctica is unique in the sense that it has no indigenous population because it's an inhabitable frozen wasteland. But that still didn't stop countries from claiming ownership of it. The primary claims were made by three nations, Britain, France, and Norway, who all had early expeditions to the Antarctic. All their claims extended from the coastlines to the South Pole, with the exception of Norway, who just said whatever and only took this chunk. Two more countries, New Zealand and Australia, entered the mix when they gained independence from Britain and promptly decided they wanted a piece of the pie. Even Nazi Germany joined the bandwagon in 1939 when they dropped a bunch of darts over Antarctica with swastikas on them. But they didn't actually claim the land, so it doesn't count. Chile and Argentina then decided in 1940 and 1943 respectively they owned this part of Antarctica on a technicality because of a deal made by Spain and Portugal about 450 years prior. Except their claims overlap with each other and with Britain's because maps are hard. So that's where we are, a giant overlapping mess of claims. Surely a bunch of disputed territorial claims won't lead to anything bad. Wait, it didn't lead to anything bad? Well, aside from a small quarrel in 1942 where a British ship destroyed an Argentinian flag and put up their own, only to be removed by an Argentine vessel a few months later, nobody really cared. That was until the Cold War, where tensions were at an all-time high, and a few countries said, hey, let's maybe figure out this whole Antarctica thing. And so in 1959, the Antarctic Treaty was signed by these 12 countries, with 42 additional countries signing on since. We fixed the problem. Well, not exactly. The purpose of the treaty was to establish peaceful use of Antarctica, so the two main rules included were 1. No military of any sort, including military bases or weapons testing, and 2. No nuclear weapons or storage of nuclear waste. While mining is also banned under the treaty, contrary to popular belief, it wasn't part of the original treaty at all, and the issue of mining wasn't brought up until the 1980s. When in 1991, the Protocol on Environmental Protection to the Antarctic Treaty, also known as the Madrid Protocol, banned mining and was signed and eventually went into effect in 1998. Also, contrary to popular belief, the Antarctic Treaty does not have an expiration date. The Madrid Protocol, which bans mining, however, will be up for review in 2048 as it is a supplement to the Antarctic Treaty, not a modification or amendment of it. So that's all well and good. But what did the treaty do about Antarctica's ownership? While it does say that Antarctica should be used exclusively for peaceful purposes in the interest of science and the progress of all mankind, it doesn't actually nullify any of the territorial claims, because if it did, none of the countries with claims would have signed it. Instead, the treaty says that it does not support nor deny any existing claims, but that no one can make a new claim or increase their current claim. To make matters worse, the United States and Russia, who was the Soviet Union at the time, both decided that they reserved the right to make a claim sometime in the future, and nobody really stopped them because, well, they're the United States and Russia. Now, do you remember how Norway only had that chunk because it didn't really care? Well, in 2015, it decided it did care and expanded their territory to the South Pole like everyone else. But this move went largely unnoticed. So that's where we stand today. A few countries with overlapping claims on Antarctica, which both exist but also don't really exist, and countries that may or may not make a claim in the future. Whether you decide those claims exist or not, the Antarctic Treaty makes sure that at the end of the day, everybody, and nobody owns Antarctica. If you enjoyed the video, let me know what you thought in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Thanks for watching.